Morning, guys. Welcome again to my morning runs. And today we're gonna talk about the Niger coup and what I think about it. Right? Niger coup is a classic example of what we call the fight between the stronger men and the weak men. Right? If you don't know, the history is during the colonizations, during the independent movement, we had a lot of strong men like Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, and all those strong men who fought for independence. And after we got independent, we have the weak men who went and colluded with the Westerns to kill all the strong men. That's how we had like a purge in like the 70s, 80s, where all the strong men were killed. And then we had the government we have today, which is consists of weak men who have sold our natural resources to the Westerners in exchange of the power. So now, you cannot talk about the Niger coup without talking about France as well uranium. If you see, Niger is the biggest exporter of uranium in the world, in the fifth biggest exporter of uranium in the world. I want to show Uganda though. Uganda's pretty beautiful. Love it. Beautiful hills. How you doing, man? Good morning. I'm doing great. You Muslim? You're Musa. Nice to meet you, Musa. Hi. That's Musa right there, by the way. Anyway, so continue. We cannot talk about the issue with Niger without mentioning France as well, the uranium fight. So if you look at it, since the independence, even before the independence, France has been exploiting Niger uraniums. You know, the fun fact is the 2/3 of the Paris, of the whole entire Paris, is supported by Niger uraniums. And if you look at it, Niger only has about 10% of electricity coverage in the whole entire country, and 70% come from Nigeria. So they're not really benefiting from the uranium. So for so many years, France has been ignored. For so many years, France has been ignored the concern from the citizens of Niger, which was included the death, people dying from the uranium dust going into drinking water, as well. That's your dog? Nice dog, man. I like it. Oh, look at a nice dog right there. Like it. Beautiful dog, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Anyway, damn, people in Uganda are really active, though. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Everybody's active over here. Anyway, 2/3 of Paris is powered by Niger uraniums, and if you look at it, Niger itself does not have enough electricity, and also 70% of its electricity comes from Nigeria. So people have been dying from the water contamination, which comes from the uranium dust going in the water, right? So let's talk about it. This country that have built what you call predatory contracts with Niger government. Oh man, damn, the road had a fucked. So with the predatory contracts that France has with Niger, whereby they pay about 15% of loyalty from exploiting uraniums, France has built two subsidiaries, which is one of the mining subsidiary, another was the exporters. So the mining subsidiary will sell the uranium to its own subsidiary, which is the exporter, and then they will pay 15% loyalty to the government from that sales. But you see, one thing here is they don't want to sell, they don't want to give 15% to the government from the international prices, but they only give 15% of the sale from the local prices. I mean, so that's number one. So now, first of all, today, we have these young people who are military and they made a coup. And the whole point of it was to free Niger from, French colonial, which is going on right now, as well as the exploitations. And now we have, again, the weak men who are running our entire continent. Now they're putting sanctions on Niger. For example, Nigeria has announced that they're going to go on a war with Niger to remove the coup. And also you can talk about the African Union as well putting sanctions on Niger because of the coup. But for so many years, nobody has ever raised questions on exploitations and the death of Niger people who are dying from the French exploitation of uranium in their countries, right? So the problem we have is we have the weak men, entire continent running these countries, selling the natural resources to the highest bidder in the Western countries and the capitalists, and essentially selling the future for young men, young people. Young people in Africa don't have no future. All their future has already been sold to the Westerners, you know what I mean? So the uranium which is supposed to make the country rich, improve the people's life, has been sold to the French, and now the French is enjoying the electricity in Paris. You go into Paris, there's really beautiful lightings on the streets, the Eiffel Towers. And then when you go back to Niger, there's no electricity and people are dying from this uranium. And I mean, so my conclusion would be like, maybe young people, they need to look at those guys who made a coup as a role model, and they start actually forcing these countries to make changes around their continent. And I'm saying around the continent as well in their countries. Because look at it, man. There's no future here, bro. I've been in Africa for 4 months, and all I've been seeing is a lot of kids, and a lot of young men suffering, man. There's no future unless things change.